it is. It is Wednesday episode, hump day episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno, taking you for the next hour, taking you to 1 p.m. today. I just want to give you guys a heads up. This concerns you whether you're watching this live or maybe watching it back via replay later, that starting this coming Monday, so 5 days from now, this coming Monday, we're actually going to be moving back the live broadcast. If you watch this like at night on a replay, this really doesn't affect you. The show's still going to happen every day. Same kind of content, same kind of show. But for those who watch live, hopefully this works out for you, that we're going to be going live 3 p.m. every day starting this coming Monday. It's a little bit better for my schedule. It's a lot better for Sean Stanley's schedule. Manny Chang is chilling either way, so we're going to make it happen starting this coming Monday. We're going to be moving back our live broadcast from 12 noon until 3 p.m. every day. So welcome everyone who's with us now live. We're going to have some big conversations. I have a lot to say today about the Miami Dolphins. Our guests have a lot to say about the Hurricanes, the Miami Heat, and surely the Miami Dolphins as well. Vishnu Parasuraman is going to join us at 12:15. And Royal A. Shepherd, one of our show favorites. These are both show favorites. I don't want Fish to feel slighted. I love him. I love Royal. Royal's going to join us at 12:40 today. We have a lot to get to. We are brought to you, as always, we are served by the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Oh, the Quarterdeck. This is the spot for college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays. They've got the 5 for $15 ice cold bucket specials. Ice cold buckets of the Heineken family of beers. High Noon Hard Seltzer. You can mix and match those to your heart's content. Knock down those cold alcoholic beverages to get you through these Canes games and these Dolphins games. We need alcohol to get through some of these games. Guys, the food is also delicious at the Quarterdeck. This is such a great spot to watch live sporting events because they have the big screens outside. They got the flat screens covering every wall inside. They have every game on, my friends. The seafood is delicious. The fresh fish like the mahi-mahi, the oysters and Maine lobster are to die for. I love the sushi at the Quarterdeck. The burgers and sandwiches are so great. The pasta dishes, the salads, the baby back ribs are awesome. I also want to remind you guys that they have every UFC pay-per-view fight available at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill for zero cover charge. You pay nothing at the door to watch a UFC pay-per-view fight at the Quarterdeck. So if you want to find the location nearest to you or peep their menu before you go, I always love to look at the menu before I go. Visit them on the web at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. And we are brought to you by our great friends at You Break Wheel Fix in North Miami. Guys, Mark and his repair and refinishing techs, they've got over 2 decades of experience now. They are dedicated to providing high-quality repairs for cracked, bent, or damaged rims and wheels. They get the job done quickly, and they get the job done right with a quality guarantee. They can even give you loaner wheels so you can get your car right back out on the road while they're repairing your wheels. And guys, not only do they have the best repairs you're going to find in the Tri-County area and in North Miami, they're conveniently located. If you're a Dade guy like myself, or if you're a Broward guy, they're right around the corner from you. It doesn't take long to get to You Break Wheel Fix. They can also customize and trick out your wheels. They're big South Florida sports fans. This is why we love the folks at You Break Wheel Fix, because they are passionate about our teams. They can get your wheels done, custom colors, Miami Dolphins colors, Miami Heat, even white hot Heat, Hurricanes, Inter Miami, whatever you want, they can do for you and make your wheels looking fresh at You Break Wheel Fix. So check them out. If you want to make an appointment, here's the phone number, and tell them that 5 Reasons Sports and Donno Daily sent you. 305-748-0112, or make an appointment online at youbreakwheelfix.com. Oh, I love welcoming everybody in the chat. Big Dan 305, Cliff Esmiel, my dude. David is in, and David and Cliff, he's up in Connecticut. He says, "Oh, if they got sushi, I'm booking a flight to Miami right now." It's not a bad place to be, Cliff. It is not a bad place to be down in South Florida, especially when the seasons start changing up north, right? It's probably Connecticut in the fall is probably lovely. Connecticut in the winter, you're probably better off in Florida. So, start planning those December, January, February trips down to Florida, get some sushi at the Quarterdeck. Hello to Marco at MB Beggs. Hello to Brooklyn Rob, the Mush Hour. Yesterday was a rare day. Tuesday. I didn't place a single wager. I didn't place a single bet yesterday. I'm still living off of my profits from Monday Night Football, where we had the Chargers -3 and they covered pretty easily. So that was an easy dub for us. And I didn't place any bets. I'm probably going to bet on some Nations League soccer today, some international soccer. So it's looking good, man. And we'll talk more a little bit later about our official sportsbook, betus.com, where you can get 125% sign up bonus with our code 5RSN125. So the latest news that we've gotten within the last 15 minutes, in fact, this was confirmed by Brian Flores, Will Fuller has been placed on injured reserve with a broken finger. Now, given what the injury is, I'm not expecting the Miami Dolphins speedy wide receiver to miss a whole lot of time. This is probably going to be like a 3-week deal, minimum 3 weeks on the IR. It's going to be like a Tua Tagovailoa situation where Fuller's going to sit out 3 weeks, expected to return. It's still really frustrating because Fuller, and it's frustrating from a Dolphins point of view because you're literally taking a weapon away, right? So we're not going to have Fuller available for at least the next 3 games. So that's frustrating. And it's also got to be frustrating from Will Fuller's POV because what was this guy doing this year? Gambling on himself. Will Fuller was gambling on himself, took a 1-year deal. I'm not going to feel too sorry for his bank account because he's making $10 million this year, but he passed up opportunities at long-term deals because he thought the wide receiver market's a little bit dead this past year. If I wait a year, gamble on myself, sign a 1-year deal, and have a great season, ball out, then I'm going to be in position to make a ton of money on a long-term deal in the future. So he gambled on himself in a 1-year deal. And, call it bad luck, call it whatever you want to. But so far, through the course of this 1-year deal, and we know we're not going to see him until, what would it be, week 8 again at the earliest. So far, he's had to miss a game due to personal reasons. And I don't know what those were, but I'm sure it was completely out of his control. He's gotten a chance to play with the likes of Jacoby Brissett, who stinks. I mean, that's the quarterback throwing you the football. And now he's going to miss at least 3 games with a hand injury. So, what the maximum amount of games he can even play in this year is going to be like 12 games by the time it's all said and done. You got to make the most of that. He's going to have to make a meal out of that once he returns. And so, your wide receiver room has gotten a little bit smaller over these last couple of days because you traded yesterday, and I still love this deal. This is a good trade. You traded Jakeem Grant to Chicago for a future 6th-round pick, 2023 6th-round pick. I know that's not a lot in return, but what are you really expecting in return for Jakeem Grant, who can't really get on the field as a wide receiver, and he drops too many passes? And he's now, I know he's a former all-pro returner, so this is why I think he can revive his career with a change of scenery. But that all-pro returner keeps putting punts on the turf and costing his team giveaways. So he had to go. The Dolphins had to make an example out of him. And by trading away Jakeem Grant, which was a good move for the Miami Dolphins, you can very easily replace him with Jalen Waddle in the return game. And I think that's what's going to happen. Brian Flores talked about it today. He mentioned, rightfully so, that Jalen Waddle was an excellent returner at Alabama. And I know what some people are going to say. Well, oh no, you've got your 6th overall draft pick, your number 1, wide receiver, 1st-round pick, one of the best players on this team. And now you're going to risk injury playing him in a return game. He's a big boy. He's a professional. If he can't stay healthy, some of that's on him at the end of the day. And if he's clearly the best punt returner on this roster, and let's not pretend punt returns aren't important. Let's not pretend an opportunity to steal great field position, maybe even score some touchdowns on kick returns. Let's not pretend that isn't important. And if he's clearly the guy on this roster that's best equipped to do that, I think Noah Igbenogany could also be a decent returner as well. Maybe that could be an opportunity to get him a little bit of work and get him on the active roster. But if Jalen Waddle is clearly your best option at punt returner, I don't think you can be afraid to use him just because you're afraid of getting him injured. I think he needs to be out there. He gives the Dolphins the best chance to flip the field and do that. David points out Donno is mushing the entire wide receiver group. And yeah, like Cliff points out, you could also use that 6 in another deal so you could flip that pick. And that may come into play, okay? And we're going to get into what the Dolphins might be thinking of doing and what they should do here to try and turn this season around, because 1-3 is a bad start. And you're going into Tampa and you are God, I haven't even checked the line in the last 24 hours, but I think you're close to a double-digit under. If anyone has that line in front of them, I think the Dolphins are around like a 9.5-point underdog going into Tampa this week. That's a game that you're not expected to win. If you can win that game, hallelujah, hallelujah. Look, if you can go into Tampa, and I'm not believing this, I'm just trying to put this into the universe. But if you can go into Tampa and maybe catch Tom Brady on a bit of a Foxborough hangover, if there's any sort of an emotional adrenaline dump from Tom Brady, who, went in back to New England, got the homecoming, got the W in his old stomping grounds. Maybe you take the Dolphins lightly the week afterwards. Brady's the consummate professional, 7-time Super Bowl champion. But the Dolphins, they have beaten Brady many times. In fact, Brady has more L's against the Miami Dolphins than any other team in the National Football League. It's not impossible. Tampa's clearly a better team than Miami. Tampa will be at home. This will not be easy. This will be very difficult. But if the Dolphins can actually go into Tampa and steal a W, then you've got an awful Jacksonville Jaguars team in London the following weekend. You could be back at 500 in the blink of an eye, and this could turn around. This could turn around if you get that win. Marco writes in, it's not that returners don't have a role, but little bang for your buck at that position. But he would also, it's not like he wouldn't be Jalen Waddle also playing wide receiver. He would also be getting on the field at wide receiver, but I think more time at returner, I think, is in his destiny, because he's clearly the best option at that spot now. Even a decent returner could be crucial. Cliff writes, the Jets have Berrios, who nobody ever talks about except me, because I'm a University of Miami guy, and I love Braxton Berrios. He and I didn't go to school together. I'm a little bit too old for that. But some of the students that I did know, who the females, the co-eds, they would have married Braxton Berrios. That guy was marriage material. I'm a huge fan of his. So a couple of notes now, because we've had big changes in the wide receiver room. Jakeem Grant out. Will Fuller confirmed he's going on IR with a hand injury. So how does the personnel change now? I mentioned expect to see Jalen Waddle returning punts, was dynamic at that in college. You can now expect, because you've had a couple of healthy scratches in recent games at wide receiver. Healthy scratches no more. You can expect Albert Wilson to be active on game days. You can expect Preston Williams to be active on game days. And I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys can do on the field. And, okay, so something I wanted to get to, Vishnu Parasuraman is going to join us in a couple of minutes here. What do the Miami Dolphins need to do to try and fix things? And, okay, I'm not even at this time going to bring up a Deshaun Watson trade. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, but that's like a cheat code. Like, if I'm going to answer this question and say, how do the Miami Dolphins 1-3 heading into Tampa, potentially about to be 1-4, how do you turn your fortunes around going out and trading for a guy who, if he's eligible to play, is a top 5 quarterback in this league? That's too much of a cheat code. I'm going to look at what the Dolphins already have available to them, maybe more modest trades that can be made. For me, the first thing you have to do to try and tweak this situation, get better production. Your major problems here have been special teams, and you address that by trading Jakeem Grant, because he cost you points last week. That was an issue. And then your other big problem has been the offense is a mess. The offense is an absolute disaster. The defense has been fine. The defense has been playing well enough to win games, right? And they're not being put in a position of success. Short fields, not a lot of rest. This defense, if your offense can actually stay on the field, move the football, do them some favors on the field position, I think the defense for the Dolphins can be fine, can be great. You need to fix your shit at offensive coordinator, and you need to do it now. And I'm not even saying you have to fire somebody right now. I'm not even saying that, because, listen, we've had evidence in the past that George Godsey can be a good tight ends coach and a good passing game coordinator. We've had evidence in the past that Eric Studesville is a good running backs coach. We've had evidence in the past that Charlie Fry is a good quarterbacks coach. So I'm not saying you have to fire any one of these guys or all these guys, but you need to tweak the way they're communicating plays, because it's a debacle. It is a debacle that you have 2.5 offensive coordinators. And then we spoke to Alfredo Arteaga on Monday, and he's even seen evidence that Brian Flores might have been calling plays as well. We might have 4 offensive coordinators. It is absurd, okay? When we found out during the offseason that the Dolphins were going to roll with 2 offensive coordinators heading into the year, I thought this can work, but the way that it can work is if you have a clear delineation of powers. If you have one guy who's calling the plays and it's not some cornucopia of mediocrity, the Dolphins have opted for the cornucopia. I don't know what's going on. So you need to tweak the way you're calling plays. One voice, one call. Every play on the field shouldn't be filtered through 3 or 4 people. One voice, one call. And I'd like to think the guy who's probably most equipped to be making the calls is the guy who's actually got play calling experience, and that's George Godsey. So let him call the plays. If they want to collaborate during the week on a game plan, fine. But offensive play calls should not be going through 3 or 4 people. It's ridiculous. So that's my number 1. And then my number 2 is, okay, you want to do something at the trade deadline or before the trade deadline. And even if you're not doing anything as drastic as trading 3 ones and 3 other assets for a quarterback, which they might do, but even if you're not doing anything that drastic, you've got to do something at offensive line. I would try like hell to make a Taylor Decker trade, to bring in Taylor Decker from Detroit to play left tackle for you and play it at a high level before the trade deadline. I also think they can do some tweaking with the personnel they already have. I think Greg Little deserves an opportunity. I never want to see Austin Jackson starting at left tackle ever again. It's been an embarrassment and it's been a disgrace. So these are the first things I would do to try and tweak it in the short term. Now, we've seen Brian Flores coach teams turn things around before. Didn't they start 1-3 last year? And even before Brian Flores, 2016 Miami Dolphins under Adam Gase started a season 1-4, and they made the playoffs in 2016. So at 1-3, I'm not saying the season is dead. I'm not saying the season is lost, but I am saying it will be lost if you don't do something drastic within these next couple of games. You're completely screwed. Speaking of completely screwed, let's talk some Miami Hurricanes. Vishnu Parasuraman is with us. Oh, bro, I love the Jurassic Park t-shirt. Oh, I love that. Just move your torso back a little bit so we can bask in the glory of that. How are you, man?
Yeah, I was trying to throw back to when the Hurricanes were good, you know?
Yeah, early 90s.
It's just coming off those 4 titles in 8 years. Yeah, it's good times.
Oh, it was the time of my life. Okay, so I want to throw something a little bit ridiculous at you. We talked about it a little bit right at the end of the show yesterday. I'm not expecting it to happen because of who's running our administration and the way that they do business. But if old Urban Meyer were to get free, would you, if suddenly Julio Frank and the administration have this epiphany that's like, you know what? We need to spend big. We need to make a gigantic splash. We need to change the way we've been doing business. Would you, Vish, advise them to throw the kitchen sink at Urban Meyer, or is that guy so toxic that you'd say, you know what, I don't even know if that's a good plan?
I wouldn't do that. With the caveat being, would I take him over like another inexperienced coach that doesn't know what he's doing? Of course. But if you're willing to throw that kind of money out there, buy him out of his Jacksonville contract, you can pretty much hire anyone. So I don't think you need to bring the person with baggage. Then if you're going to that price point, you can pretty much pick anyone not named Nick Saban and get them. You're buying out an NFL coach's contract and bringing someone in like that. That's a type of money we don't throw around. If you do that, you shouldn't have to make that compromise on well, this guy's a scumbag, but like you don't need to do that if you're going to spend that kind of money.
I mean, do you think that if they were to take a much more free spending, drastic approach to the next coach, do you think Mario is even realistic? Like if they were willing to actually spend the money, or do you think at this point he's just doing so well at Oregon, he might think like, why would I even leave, even if it is to my alma mater? Like, do you think he would probably say, you know what, I have it fine just where I am right now?
So if we're willing to spend that kind of money, again, it's all like caveated, then
yeah,
I think he would definitely be interested. Like his family's still in Miami, not his immediate family, obviously with him, but like his mom's there, his brother who also played at Miami is still living in Miami. Like he's got a lot of ties there. It's obviously his alma mater too. There is a connection there. So if you're willing to say, hey, we're going to buy you out of this Oregon contract, which is expensive, we're going to pay you to come here, which means you'll have money for assistants. Like, I think that's a whole different argument you're making now, where he's like, yeah, I can win big at Oregon, but I can also win big at Miami if they're going to give me these resources. I think the choice coaches have had to make with Miami is, I know there's a lot of talent locally, but they're not going to give me money for staff. They're not going to give me, they're not going to support me nearly as much as these other schools. So is that talent enough to overcome it? It's never been a straight shot. I think if it's a straight shot, you'll easily be able, if not him, get anyone really, because that local talent is still there. But it's almost like we've been fighting, with one hand tied behind our back. And so any coach has to evaluate that way. And that's why a lot of us say, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I can't even bring in top assistants because you won't pay for them. Like, that type of stuff it permeates all the way down. We all focus on the head coach. You look at our assistant coaches, they haven't been good either.
No.
Although they keep getting promoted to head coach. I mean, these are not guys that but if you look at the assistants, the head coaches that have come through here, they're not really landing on their feet when they leave.
No, they're not.
Dropping down a level or either by school or by position, like coordinators become position coaches. Like, this is, we've just been, you get cheap at the top level and then it just filters down through the whole staff.
Now, if Miami was going to make an in-season change, this past week would have seen, the past, 5-6 days since the Virginia game actually would have seemed like a pretty good time to do that, because a long week plus a bye week, right? So if you're talking about, elevating an interim coach and making drastic changes, you're not going to have this much time off at any point, like until, the gap before I was going to say a bowl game. If you even qualify for a bowl game at this pace, you won't.
That's questionable.
Yeah, it's questionable. It's questionable. So you're not going to get this much time between games at any point throughout the rest of the year. So does that tell you, with nothing being done? And I was listening on Monday, and Manny Diaz had his regular weekly spot on Joe Rose, which tells you, the seat is not that hot for him right now. Do you think this tells you that the fact that they didn't make a change heading into the bye week, that they're probably not going to make an in-season change?
I think if they were trying to salvage this season, they would have done it. Frankly, they should have done it on Friday. Yeah. And if they were trying to get something out of the season, because since Virginia is so bad, they've already lost twice in the ACC. So while that is a terrible loss, it means that obviously, no one actually thinks it's going to happen, but if the Canes win out, they win the ACC Coastal. So if you were actually thinking like, hey, this is an S show, right? This is not good, but we still have an opportunity here. Let's make a bold move here. Maybe they'll rally around the interim coach and we can actually get something out of the season. If you're thinking that way, you would have done it, frankly, the day after the game. With that said, I wouldn't necessarily rule it out just because it's toxic out there. People are sending emails to Julio Frank and copying me on them.
Wow.
I don't know how they got my email address, but
have you thought about, or maybe you have already, if you blur the names out, maybe publishing some of those on the website, because I think people would click on those. I can tell you that.
Well, I think that'd be probably a violation of a little bit of trust. Although I didn't ask them to include me on these things, but people
fair.
Showing, attaching pictures of their diplomas, it is angry out there.
Oh, wow.
So I think that has always been the thing that pushes this school. It's never the on-field, it's the off-field. So I think if we drop another game or two, it's just going to, the temperature's going to rise to the point they might do something in the middle of the season. But it won't be to actually make this season better. That ship, like you said, sailed. This is the perfect time to do that. It would be just to get everyone to shut up. If you remember when Al Golden, 58-0, immediately after that game, Blake James came out and said, he's our coach. We believe in him. By Sunday noon, no, he's not our coach anymore. Stop yelling at me.
Exactly.
So I could see something similar playing out. Especially, I think that kernel of, if they win out, they'll win the ACC Coastal. That'll go when North Carolina beats their pants off. So then they can't even lie about that anymore. And then I think it becomes inevitable.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing to say when people are like, well, hey, listen, everything's still in front of you. Like, Matt, you control your own destiny still to win the Coastal. But it's like, hold on. After what happened to Miami against Virginia, after, how they looked against Michigan State, how they looked against Appalachian State, I don't care that they actually won the game, and, how they look completely lifeless against Alabama. Like, why are you even telling me, hey, mathematically they're still in it, but why would I believe they're going to win all of the rest of their games? We talked about this last time I had you on, a couple weeks ago, or I guess it was probably a couple days before the Virginia game. We were talking about, you look at the rest of the schedule, and unless Miami finds a way to drastically improve in season, if they lose to Virginia, and they did, there's probably only really one other game on the schedule that looks potentially winnable, and that's Florida State, because Florida State is so freaking bad. So I don't know why anyone would still project them to win the Coastal.
Right. There's Florida State, there's Duke, potentially like a Georgia Tech. I mean, but just to put things in context for how bad it is, they could go 5-2 over the last 7 games. You think, wow, that's not that bad given what we've seen. That means they would finish 7-5 for the year. Like, this is toast.
Yeah.
They stink. Like, this is not like that would actually be a reasonably strong finish. That would exceed, I think, expectations. That gets you to 7-5. That's how bad this team has been. And some of the stuff where it's halfway through the season now. Like, this is who you are. So it's just, I will say the one positive against Virginia, those kids battled their asses off. Yeah. Like, they could have quit a million times. Like, you got to give it up to them. But they're not being put in a position to succeed. I mean, it's becoming a running joke in game where they make fun of the missed tackles. Like, the commentators are doing it again.
I know.
Like, this is not good, but they're not being put, like, you don't learn technique in the middle of the season, right? That should have been taught correctly in the offseason. It wasn't done. These kids are trying. Like, Van Dyke made that long touchdown run, converted the 3rd and long to set up what should have been the winning field goal. Like, he did enough there, even in his first start, and the team kept battling, but they're just, I mean, they're not in a position to, they're not being put in a position to succeed, and they're trying to overcome that. And that's the disappointing part, because I feel like if they were quitting, if they weren't playing hard, you'd be like, well, they're getting what they deserve. Right. They're still out there giving it their everything, and they're just, the play calling's not good, the schemes aren't good, the fundamentals aren't there. And as much as you can, sort of point to the players on fundamentals, you hire coaches to teach that. These kids don't come out of high school knowing how to do everything correctly.
Because, like, no doubt there's talent there, especially some of the younger players. Like, I give Manny Diaz a lot of credit for the recruiting aspect. Like, recruiting wise, he's doing a really damn good job despite the results on the field. But then that brings up another couple of concerns here, because even if you're doing a really good job recruiting, if you're not, putting your players in position on the field to win, that's going to at some point affect future recruiting. And then also talent development has been a big question, because, like, some of the biggest positives from that Virginia game, Vish, and you mentioned Tyler Van Dyke. I was really impressed with the way he played and battled. I think that's a good word. He had a really poor first half, but he found his footing in the second half and was playing his ass off. He's not particularly quick, and that touchdown run was all effort. Like, that was head of steam, all effort, and he had some good throws in that second half as well. I was very proud of the way that he played. We saw some good, also some bad, but we saw some good from James Williams, and we saw a lot of good, mostly good, from Leonard Taylor, who looks like a monster. So to me, 3 of those guys were some of the biggest positives for me last week. So there's no doubt the talent is there, Vish. We just need to make sure that the coaching staff is doing the proper things to keep these players happy, because the transfer portal has become a monster now. If you bring in a 5-star and you can't keep the 5-star happy and they're on a losing team, anybody can hit the portal at any time. And then you also have to develop that talent. So I need signs they can actually do that.
Yeah, and that's been a problem for 15 years, frankly. Like, we see these freshmen show up, flash a lot of potential, and then never reach their full potential. And you worry about, you mentioned James Williams, Leonard Taylor, even Van Dyke, although we have Garcia behind him too. Are they going to grow from here? Because that's what's been lacking in the in the last 15 years. Like, we have these, even like the 2008, like the number 1 recruiting class in the country, right? They came on, went to a bowl game, all freshmen playing. Yeah. By senior year, they had the same record they did the freshman year. Like, it's just, we hit this plateau. We're not really developing players well, so that's been a chronic problem. I mean, they'll keep battling. It's hard to see them being good teams, and there are some good teams left on the schedule, and like, they're already at 3 losses. It's just it's hard to see that not being a poor record at the end of the year at this point.
Now, their next game is not until October 16th, so we are heading into a bye week, and it's going to be North Carolina after the bye week. Now, this is, North Carolina not as good as they were last year, but you got to play them on the road. They've had a tough start as well, but,
So they've been hit or miss. They've been good offensively, pretty much. I mean, their first game they weren't, but they seem to have righted that ship. They've been playing a lot better at home than on the road, so that's kind of problematic.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind, Miami has not played a road game yet.
Yeah, that's right.
So again, this was other than Alabama, this was the softer part of the schedule. They just went through it 2-3. Now it's 7 straight conference games, with more than half of them on the road. So this is they kind of fumble the easy part of the schedule. So this will be challenging. North Carolina, they've been hit or miss. They're gettable, but I've seen nothing from this Miami team that leads me to believe they can beat anyone that's like good. And if North Carolina's even good, it's hard. Like, I don't think Michigan State's that good, and that game ended up being a 3-touchdown game, right? So it's hard to see this working out well. Just for context, like, North Carolina beat Virginia by 20, and so did Wake Forest, mind you. So that was kind of a reversal. I mean, Virginia had 1 sack, and both those games combined had 4 against Miami.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I think we need to. I think it's hard to. Hopefully they do something in the bye week to improve. I guess probably the best way to say it is if they can use this bye week to improve, there is enough talent where they can certainly, like, there's no one on the schedule. There's not another Alabama there. So there's no one on the schedule where it's not like if we play better, then you could beat them, because on paper you definitely can. So that's, I guess, the positive. There's a bye week to maybe fix some stuff. But if we roll out the same performances, they're not going to beat most of the teams on the schedule.
Yeah, it's really well said. Vishnu Parasuraman, you want to follow him on Twitter at VRP2003. By the way, I love the piece you wrote within the last few days about kind of the state of the program. If you have anything else you want to promote, if you want to promote that piece, of course, anything else you're working on, let people know what they can find at 5reasonsports.com.
Yeah, that piece is on 5 Reasons Sports. You can check it out. It's under the Voices section. And then the other thing is tonight at 8:30, we got the 6th Ring Canes show. If you want more Canes coverage, we'll be on with Jazz Santana, and we got a couple of guests as well. So should be a good time if you guys want to check that out.
No, that is a fantastic crew. Vish, thank you so much for taking the time. Enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully on the 16th
we see Miami. Bye week, so I'm happy.
Yeah, and hopefully after the bye week, Miami find a way to use that extra rest and extra retooling time to their favor to give North Carolina a good game. Thank you so much, man.
All right, thanks.
Awesome stuff there from Vish. Fantastic. Oh man. All right, guys. So we're going to be joined in about 7 minutes by Royal A. Shepherd. I want to remind you guys, we have an official sportsbook here on Donno Daily, BetUS.com. Bet with the 3-decade leader. This is their 27th NFL football season taking wagers. They've been around this long because they are America's favorite sportsbook. BetUS has impeccable customer service. They've got the best bonuses in the industry to keep you playing longer. And in fact, we help provide you one of those bonuses. We have a hookup here on Donno Daily. We have a hookup on BetUS.com. When you sign up, and if you haven't signed up, you need to FOMO in here, guys, because we've been having so much fun. We're at week 5 in the NFL season, week 6, I think, in the college season. I bet European soccer as well, UFC fights. They have odds on every sporting event you can possibly imagine. Miami Heat are playing basketball again. Regular season is right around the corner. Florida Panthers in the NHL, that regular season is right around the corner as well. There are so many opportunities to wager on games. This is a full-service sports book. We have your hookup. If you sign up at betus.com, and you should be signing up, use our code WORD. They're going to ask you if you have a coupon code. You do have a code. It's 5RSN125. When you type in our code with your deposit, 5RSN125, they're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus on top of your deposit. So if you deposit with your credit card, you deposit $100, let's say, they're going to give you $125 of free play money on top of that $100, so you can enjoy that free play money. Or if you deposit with crypto and you use our code, they will actually give you a 200% sign-up bonus. So how freaking good is that? And you can bet sports, casino. I play blackjack in there all the time. You can bet minimum $1. If you're a high roller, you bet to your heart's content. Minimum $1 blackjack, which is awesome. Horses, pop culture, and more at betus.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. betus.com. So something that, when people are dogging the Miami Dolphins, it bothered me preseason, but, 3-game losing streak later, 1-3 start. It doesn't bother me now when people dog the Miami Dolphins. And a new ESPN NFL power ranking came out, and the Dolphins, they weren't sitting too well last week either after the Vegas loss. They dropped 3 more spots. Miami Dolphins are now ranked number 26 out of 32 in the latest ESPN power ranking. They say biggest surprise, poor offensive play. I'm surprised by that as well. Even with a backup quarterback, I'm surprised by it because the offensive line isn't just bad, they are diabolical, okay? The play calling has been conservative to a point of embarrassment, and Jacoby Brissett has not looked good. His protection hasn't been good. We know that, but still, and this is one of the things that bugs me for anyone who says last week, oh, Donno, it doesn't matter who quarterback's there. Tua, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, anybody is going to lose behind that offensive line. I wholeheartedly disagree. When Jacoby Brissett is putting passes that go 3 yards downfield in the dirt because his accuracy was that poor, you can't tell me a quarterback couldn't have made a difference. Was he under pressure, under duress, getting sacked, running for his life? Yes, but he still left enough plays on the field. You cannot tell me a quarterback could not have made a difference in that game. Like I'm surprised by even how poorly he's doing. They say, why is that a surprise? Name the offensive category, and the Dolphins are either near or at the bottom of the NFL's rankings. Entering Monday night, Miami was 31st in scoring, woof. 31st in total yards, woof. 30th in first downs, ugh. 30th in passing yards, 26th in rushing. I'm surprised we're that high. I'm surprised we're 26th in rushing yards. These running backs aren't even getting carries. Myles Gaskin, 2 carries for 3 yards. Salvon Ahmed, what did he have? 1 carry? Did he have any carries last week? And like every week they basically roll the dice to decide who's starting. Oh, Malcolm Brown going to start this week. Okay, I'm surprised we're even 26th in rushing yards, if I'm being honest here. So yeah, it's rough. I'll give you an idea real quick if I can open this link here on the full power rankings. I'm not gonna give you the full details on every team, but here's the way that the ESPN power rankings shake out. Buffalo Bills number 1. You're welcome. We spotted them that 35-0 win. That helps them boost their status in the power rankings. Bills, they didn't look good week 1. They've been flying ever since. Arizona Cardinals, they're 4-0. They're number 2 in the power rankings. LA Rams, number 3. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, number 4. We go up against them this coming weekend. Green Bay Packers, number 5. I know our next guest, Royal A. Shepard's going to be very happy to hear that. Cleveland Browns, number 6. The Browns are looking great. Ravens, number 7. Cowboys, number 8. Chargers, number 9. They've got the quarterback we should have drafted. Vegas Raiders, number 10. Kansas City, number 11. Carolina, number 12. Seattle, 13. Denver, 14. San Fran, 15. Cincinnati Bengals, right in the middle there at 16. New Orleans Saints, 17. Tennessee Titans, 18. WFT, 19. New England Patriots, 20. Now, that comes despite the fact the Dolphins have a head-to-head win over the Patriots, and they've got identical records. Still, I actually agree. I agree with the Patriots being ranked ahead of the Dolphins because since week 1, the Patriots have been trending up. The Dolphins have been trending down. So I actually agree with the Patriots being ranked ahead of the Dolphins despite the head-to-head. Colts, number 21. Minnesota Vikings, number 22. Chicago Bears, 23. Pittsburgh Steelers, number 24. They got serious problems, the Steelers. They might end up worse than the Dolphins within the next few weeks. Philadelphia Eagles, number 25. Dolphins, 26, as I mentioned. Falcons, 27. New York Giants, 28. New York Jets, 29. New York football, terrible. I mean, awful. I mean, New York City, I hope the pizza's still good because their football teams suck. Houston Texans, number 30. Detroit Lions, 31. And surprise, surprise, Jacksonville Jaguars, number 32. And I'm going to make a prediction, and this is the easiest prediction I've ever made, okay? If there are betting odds on this, it's probably too late to bet on it because it'd be like probably minus 1,000. My prediction is Urban Meyer's final game as Jacksonville Jaguars head coach will be week 5 against the Dolphins. I think that's going to be his swan song. I do think the Dolphins will win that game. And I think the Jaguars are already basically signing the paperwork to fire Urban Meyer's ass. But the reason why I don't think it's going to happen until after the London game is they've got the bye week after that, the Jaguars do. So that seems like the right time to make that change. It wouldn't completely shock me if they fire him before that, because things seem to be getting completely worse there for Herb, who's, feeling up those co-eds at the bars. Things seem to be getting worse for him, not better. But I think, to me, the right time to fire him, assuming they lose to the Dolphins, would be after that London game. And real quick, according to Ian Rappaport, Urban Meyer said this to his team today. And by the way, these players, they're singing like canaries. Every time Urban Meyer does something in that facility, the anonymous players, anonymous players, maybe unanimous because it might be all of them doing it, but these anonymous players are running to every reporter they can find. This is what Herb said to us today. He's lost that locker room completely. Here's what Ian Rappaport said this morning. He said, Meyer was, from what I understand, honest and pretty forthright. He expressed remorse and asked for forgiveness from his team. He basically took responsibility for what he did. He told his team he believed in them and loved them and said he cares about two things, really, football and family. He says he embarrassed them both. But here's the problem. So he said that to his team today, and it sounds like he actually finally found the right words to say to his players. I teared up a little bit when I read those comments. Like, Urban, this is like the end of a really sad, touching movie. Urban got me a little bit there. But he's already botched previous opportunities to explain to his players. So it took him 3 days to find the right words to tell his players. One anonymous Jaguars player said Tuesday that the coach tried to do that already and completely botched it. The team had better hope Meyer's Wednesday speech was better received. And Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk has been all over it, and he has said that the players aren't upset about him touching booties at bars. Like, that's not what they're upset about. They're upset about the fact that it created such a distraction for him that he was canceling team meetings on Monday and not preparing for their upcoming game. That was what bothered them. So the players felt left on an island by this. They can forgive him for squeezing butt cheeks, but they cannot forgive him for allowing that to take away from his job as a football coach. So that appears to be the issue right now. Want to bring in our next guest who can, and bro, I'm so glad he's got that Miami Heat banner hanging behind his head, because I get caught up in the frustrations of my football teams. I don't focus enough on the positives. Royal A. Shepherd, a real Miami team, is back. And Royal, that preseason game a couple nights ago, I wish I didn't have to wait until tomorrow night. I'd love to watch the Miami Heat again tonight. That was fantastic, Royal. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing well, Mr. Alexander Donno. I'm getting ready for the regular season, hence the reason why I'm not in my customary full-fledged professional attire. I'm in my workout clothes, trying to get geared up for post-game shows. But nice. It was an absolute joy to watch the Miami Heat take the court the other night. Watching Kyle Lowry acclimate himself as the point guard, watching Tyler Hero look more comfortable, watching a stronger-looking Bam Adebayo, and to do it in blowout fashion without Jimmy Butler was all the more reason for you to be encouraged as a Heat fan, and I was very happy with what I saw.
You and I know last season we both had serious doubts about Tyler Hero, and I was including him in every hypothetical trade I possibly could. I think there are a number of reasons to believe he can get everything together and have his best year as a pro, even better than the rookie year. When you look at, I think being a dad can really change people. I think it's already affecting his maturity and improving that. He's clearly put on size and strength in the offseason, which I think for him is important. He's not a string bean anymore. So, I mean, do you think what we saw on Monday night, do you think that's a sign of things to come, or was that just a really hot day for Hero and he may only be able to play like that, once in a blue moon? Because I'm going to take that as a huge positive.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. That was the 27 points itself was the aberration. He's not going to come out here score 27 plus points a game. What he is going to do is look more confident in the new role that he's in, where he's just coming here. You're a hired gun. Go out there and shoot the ball all you want, because the rest of your teammates will fill in the blank, including defensively on the boards, which he can still do a lot of. So I like the newfound confidence. I think that is here to stay. And I think the maturity in his game, I think that is also here to stay. I think the production value is going to vary throughout the course of the season. But don't get me wrong, Alexander Donno, I am waiting in the weeds for the day that the Tyler Hero of old shows his face. I mean, I'm all for it if he never shows his face again, but in case he does, I am still here waiting to package his ass up for a Bradley Beal.
Oh, and I'm with you. Listen, you're right, because if he slumps again, I'm going to be the first to turn on him.
For sure. Get in line.
I'm going to call him baby. I'm going to call him Baby Goat today. If he has a crap performance, I'm going to be turning on him immediately. Let's talk about the Kyle Lowry factor, because, oh, man, it was 7 assists in 14 minutes. The pace, the way he's able to play so fast and in control, and what he can do for this team in transition, I was in awe of it. And it's not to say I haven't seen that before, because, I watched Lowry in Toronto, but there's just something magical about watching him do it in a Heat uniform. I mean, because we know the Heat are a solid defensive team, and he's a solid defensive player, but what can he add to this team offensively? Because if these guys can figure that out, the sky is the limit.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about his pace. When people think of pace, they associate it with everybody running up the court as fast as they can and getting up quick shots. Kyle Lowry does that in a different way, and it's with the hit-ahead pass. You saw it a couple of times when he threw the ball ahead to Bam. That was something that Miami teams have been missing. It generates easy buckets for us, and it adds value to a player like Bam Adebayo because it gives him opportunities to score not in half-court situations where the defense is focused on him. So he's out and running using his athletic ability. That's going to add an additional 8 to 10 points to Bam's. I don't want to say like he's going to take a scoring leak at 8 to 10 points, but just getting him 8 to 10 easy points so that every point isn't so hard. And I think it helps everybody around them too. So I think him pushing the pace in that way is what's going to most increase Miami's offensive output. But I want to caution people too, like he's really good in half-court situations as well. So my man Manny, I love him.
Manny, I think he popped himself in by accident.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Kyle Lowry's pace it's not just being faster, but it's being more deliberate when the team is being slower, being able to manage both speeds. I think that's where the value comes in with him, and we're going to love it.
Yeah. Well, what else? Who else or what else stood out to you? Because I will drop in Caleb Martin's name. I was really impressed with him because it was one thing to watch him look great in Summer League. And I know it's still preseason, but to go from Summer League to then actual, NBA competition and what felt closer to a real game, I was really impressed.
Yeah, with Caleb Martin in specific, that's minimum salary production that you're getting out of a two-way guy. And I stole that take from Ethan Skolnick, but it's spot on. If you can get minimum wage production from a two-way guy, then you've already won in that regard. Some of the other things that stuck out to me, Duncan Robinson still looks like Duncan Robinson. And I said this last year that even if he doesn't add anything to his game, then he's worth the money that we paid him. However, when you looked at Duncan Robinson just moving around the court, he felt more NBA-like. Not to say that he wasn't NBA ready, but he moved a lot more like an NBA player. There was a lot more fluidity into his motion. Of course, you have to be impressed with Tyler Hero. And PJ Tucker. I realized very instantly that I never wanted him to dribble the basketball again. Don't you dare. You hear me?
And by the way,
when they come in, Manny? When they come in, man, I know you already ordered them.
Well, the thing is, I don't think he did because he needs more money to come in for his GoFundMe. Because, dude, these shoes, that's like 2 car payments, $656 for those size 11s. And actually, I'm a 12, so if I wanted these, I'd have to pay $789. I mean,
listen, if you want to help Manny get some more money, like and subscribe to this 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Donate to Super Chats to the Donno Show. Donate to Super Chats. Help support us, support our sponsors. That's a way that you can help Manny get these shoes.
Is that common to go from 11 to 12? That the 12s would be more than $100 more than the 11s? That seems discriminatory to larger footed individuals. Like I don't really. It's not my God made me this way. It's not my fault I wear 12s. So why do I have to go from $656 to $789 to buy those sneakers? It's not my fault.
Mr. Alexander Donno, I am 5'7" and I wear 10.5 shoes. So those are first world problems that you're describing to me. I'm also a father of 2 children. I haven't bought myself sneakers in years. So I have no idea the struggle that sneakerheads go through. I'm envious of them. I wish I had that type of money to blow on shoes for myself, but I do not.
Oh, man, I love it. Royal A. Shepherd joins us here. A real Miami team is back. The Heat are back, baby. What are you expecting this year from Max Strus? Because obviously, we caught a little bit in the regular season last year. Summer League, he was fantastic. How big of a jump do you think Strus is going to make?
I think Strus is making the same level of confidence jump that Tyler Hero is making. Where in his second year, he's led teams. He led that summer league team, and his leadership just kind of grew him as a person as well. And so I'm expecting him to be a consistent Duncan Robinson replication when we throw him out there on the floor. Like, you go out there, Duncan Robinson's going to handle the 5, 6, 7 threes per game. If you give me 2 to 3, then you've done your job. And that sturdy body helps him in several ways, including on the defensive end. So I'm liking what I've seen from Max Strus, and I'm expecting him to be one of our more consistent bench players this season.
I like it. Did anything jump out to you from the NBA GM survey? I think a lot of people thought Bam Adebayo got disrespected a bit.
The fact that people have yet to really give Spo his flowers, even though he's been voted the best coach in the NBA for the past 2 seasons. It still baffles my mind the number of Heat fans that can just go about their day and questioning the best coach in the best basketball association in the league. There are some things that all coaches give people heartburn with. So you have to take your lumps with Spo in certain regards. But it's like, just, you have to acknowledge this man's greatness. He's a Hall of Fame coach, and we should be lucky to have him. We are lucky to have him.
Yeah, well said. Anything? Okay, so the Heat have their next preseason game tomorrow, and preseason objectives are important because you're trying to get looks for certain players. What are you expecting tomorrow? Are you expecting Jimmy to play tomorrow night, and who do you want to see step up against the Rockets tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't expect Jimmy Butler to play any preseason games.
Yeah, and I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, so would I. I don't care if Jimmy Butler's playing. I don't care if Kyle Lowry and Bam Adebayo don't play in these next few games, just to kind of get them geared up. We've seen them in competitive forums, so they've done well there. PJ Tucker is another guy who I don't expect to see for the rest of it. So I'm expecting to see a lot of our young guys get a bunch of reps. So the Struces of the world, Duncan Robinson is going to play every game because he can't help himself. I'm expecting to see what Tyler can do with more on-ball reps. He'll have that responsibility with other guys out. So I'm excited to see more of what I saw in the first game, and even try and figure out what are some of the early flaws that this team may have. So I want to see some of the breakdowns that we're going to expect to deal with when the season comes up, so that we'll know how to direct our commentary as to what the Heat should do to try and address those.
Awesome stuff as always. Make sure throw out the Twitter account so I don't botch it. And if you have anything to promote, because I know your content is king all over the 5 Reasons Sports Network, what can people expect from you this week?
So my Twitter handle is Royal A Shepherd, RoyalAShepHerd. I'll also be on the Clutch Corner tonight at 8 p.m. I'll be on the Extra Yard tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Pre-game shows for Dolphins coverage. As soon as the regular season starts, I'll be hosting every post-game show for the Miami Heat. So I will be able to be seen on this very same network that you're watching. So if you're watching this, then you're probably watching me.
I love it. Royal, thank you so much, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You do the same, Donno.
I love it. I love that dude. By the way, I noticed in the chat during my conversation with Royal, I'll circle back to the Dolphins before we wrap up this episode. Bray Dotson shows up in the chat and just comes in throwing haymakers. Hey, because I titled this episode, by the way, What Needs to Happen to Fix the Miami Dolphins? Hey, I know exactly how we need to change the Dolphins to where they can be a great organization. They need to move out of Miami, Bray says. They need to change their name from the Dolphins to whatever they want. I mean, how do you come in here spewing that kind of nonsense? But you know what? I guess you remember the Baltimore Ravens used to be the Cleveland Browns. They actually so it was the Browns that moved to Baltimore, became the Ravens, and then Cleveland kept the name Browns to use it on the expansion team that came back there. So technically the Browns that you watch today, linear wise, are not the same Browns. Those are the Baltimore Ravens. So maybe Bray is onto something here, because when the Cleveland Browns, which are a cursed organization, I know they're playing better right now, but they're cursed. They don't win anything. When the Browns moved to Baltimore and became the Ravens, they've won 2 Super Bowls since. So maybe Bray is onto something with that. Bray writes, went with that quarterback from Alabama, and when we all knew the Alabama program really can't show if a player is a real player because it's nothing but talent on that team. So right into here, throwing haymakers. Want to know how to fix your team for real? Your offensive coordinator needs to game plan, all four of them, I guess, for your quarterback play onto his strengths and not his weaknesses. He needs to put his pride aside and think of a new game plan or call this season what it is. Trade your quarterback, get some pieces for the trash. Don't fire your coach. Let him get his guy and go from there. I still think Brian Flores could be the guy. I do. He needs to, though. He needs to stabilize the offensive coordinator position, no question. But I still Flo to me has more equity in the bank. Like I still, to me, what he's accomplished here outweighs the negatives to this point. So I still like Flo. I'm having serious doubts, as you guys know. I'm having very serious doubts about Chris Grier because suddenly his resume, it's starting to stink. If you look at, he's acquired a lot of first-round picks for these trades, Laramie Tunsil, Minkah Fitzpatrick, but you are misspending those high draft picks. It's become a real problem. So I am losing faith in the GM. No question about it. Oh, no. I mushed Brian Flores by giving him a vote of confidence. And I'm going to go back to way in the beginning because our guy David, maybe I can't find this comment, but I'll give you the gist of it because I know our guy David thinks that if you want to fix the Dolphins, he thinks Stephen Ross needs to sell the team, that it's just, accountability from the top up. The owner's not working out. That's the reason why they've not won anything during the Ross era. I'll say this about Stephen Ross. He has spared no expense. And I had the privilege of being part of a great panel last night on Miami Sports Music. We had this special show called Fan Base Divided. It was kind of a State of the Union address for the Miami Dolphins. Stephen D and a number of great people. They had me on, and we had an unbelievable conversation. We talked for an hour about Dolphins football. Stephen Ross, for me, he has spared no expense when it comes to cutting checks to sign players, to sign coaches, even eventually having to go into his own pocket to renovate the stadium, which looks fantastic. Financially, he's done everything. This is not the type of frugal, cheap-ass owner, like the Bengals, Browns owners throughout the years, where you could say, hey, they're just pocketing that revenue-sharing money. They're just pocketing the ticket sales, TV deal, merchandise. They don't really care about making their team better. Stephen Ross has tried so hard. So I will give him credit for that, okay? And this is my next point. He spared no expense, but all of his choices don't pan out. That's been the unfortunate part about this is, over the years, Stephen Ross has put his faith in people like Jeff Ireland, Mike Tannenbaum, Adam Gase, Chris Grier. You've had a lot of decision makers that haven't worked out. Held on to Adam Gase too long. Held on to Jeff Ireland way too long. Probably held on to Tony Sparano a little bit too long as well. May he rest in peace. I love that man. Taken from us way too soon. But yeah, the actual decisions that Stephen Ross has made have not worked out to this point. I think he knows he doesn't have as much time left as some of us do. That I don't think he's going to be too patient this time around, right? I don't think he's going to keep his hand off the reset button as long as he did during the Jeff Ireland era, for example, because, he's now 10 years older, 10 years less patient. He wants to win now. So it wouldn't surprise me if things keep going down this road, if Stephen Ross does some drastic things, GM, quarterback, maybe coach as well, because it is worth pointing out, and this is a conversation I've had with David a number of times, that you do like it if, your GM and your coach are, they come in at the same time. If you hire your GM, let him hire the coach. So if you were to make a change at general manager, football czar, it's kind of hard not to change the coach at that point, because then you're trying to put a square peg into a round hole. So if something drastic does happen, it's going to be wholesale changes. Okay. And I give Stephen Ross credit for trying. I can't give him credit for the execution, because the execution has not worked out. And that's what's been really frustrating as a Dolphin fan. But, and Urban Meyer just said he's not resigning. Why would he resign? Because they owe him a ton of money. You'd rather get fired. I'm sorry. You would rather get fired than resign. Why would you resign? They owe the guy millions of dollars. You want to get fired. And then they either pay you all the money that they owe you, or if USC wants to hire you, they've got to buy you out and pay Jacksonville, and then Meyer still gets paid. So I can't blame him for not resigning. By the way, let me throw a shout out to Urban's very patient wife, Shelly Meyer. Shelly has actually said, in the wake of the bar footage where Herb is copping a feel of the young co-ed at the bar, Shelly Meyer has actually come out and said, I knew Urban was out at a bar. He deserved a night off. He deserved a night to have a little fun. She's either a liar or she is chill as fuck. And we all need to find ourselves someone as understanding as Shelly, because if she's really not offended and bothered by Urban going out there and getting a couple of hands full, then hey, patience is a virtue. So what does Urban Meyer do next? Keeps doing what he's doing, keeps trying to coach, sees if he gets fired. He's got options. Here's the thing. If he gets fired, USC will not hesitate. If Urban Meyer, do you think the decision makers at Southern Cal are offended at his bar video to the point where they're going to say, well, we cannot hire that man? No, they want him. If Urban gets fired, USC will not hesitate. They're going to make him their next head football coach. And then Urban gets to go back to where he belongs, and that's college football. This is not an NFL coach. We knew it coming in. We knew coming in when he got that Jacksonville job, this is a huge mistake. The Jaguars are going to regret this. I thought Urban would actually make a full season. It doesn't look like he's going to make it a full season now. And hey, as a University of Miami fan, I would sell my soul to get Urban to the U. It's not going to happen, but I would take it. Urban versus Chip. Let's go. That would be a spicy coaching matchup. No doubt about that. Jaguars are looking so worse for wear right now after this latest controversy. It's bad. You think about Urban's contribution so far to Jaguars football. Trevor Lawrence unable to develop so far. The Tebow experiment was embarrassing. And now this has been awful. Like, this has been a comedy of errors packed into a span of a few months. I didn't even think Urban was destructive enough to do this much damage in this short of a time. It's humiliating. So just a quick recap of the news of the day. Will Fuller has been placed on IR with a broken finger, so the Dolphins will be without Fuller for minimum 3 weeks. They traded Jakeem Grant already this week, so I'm expecting Albert Wilson and Preston Williams to no longer be healthy scratches. And on the 53-man roster, I want to see Kirk Merritt get opportunities coming up from the practice squad. That dude played his ass off in training camp in the preseason, so I want to see that guy have the opportunity. David writes in, the wife knows he is trying to get fired. I have no doubt. He can party at least. Yes, he can. All right, I want to throw out some shout outs. Thank you guys so much for making this episode a part of your day. Cliff is the man. And Cliff, I think I could actually find a way to do worse than Urban Meyer if they were to hire me as their coach. I would, and you know what? Maybe I would do better, because I would call games. I would make myself the offensive and defensive play caller. And I would call games based on Madden suggestions. I would be running a Madden PS5 simulation like on the sidelines, and I would call my plays based on the Madden suggested plays. I could probably do better than Urban Meyer did. So huge thanks to Cliff for hopping in, David, MB Beggs, our guy Marco. And by the way, Marco, he's a Toronto Raptors fan. He lives in the Toronto area, and he's always saying nice things about Kyle Lowry, which I appreciate. And being that he is Canadian, I would be sent to Tibet if I got fired. I would be a Tibetan monk in the Himalayas. Marco, being Canadian, I actually think this is very classy. He spells the word favorite with a U. That's how they do it in the British Commonwealth. Right, that's how they do it in Canada. That's how they do it in the UK. They probably do that in Australia. It's wild. Favorite with a U. I like it. It just seems classier. Oh, and Big Dan is right. If you're watching us right now, whether you're watching us live or you're watching us later on replay, hit that like button. Smash that like button and help contribute to Manny's shoe fund. He needs to raise $656 before they come off the market so he can buy these sneakers, the PJ Tucker X Zoom Kobe's. He's got to buy those shoes. But please smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports Network YouTube channel and check out all the awesome content that we have here. And this is the time for the 5R crew to shine, because there are so many amazing Heat content creators. Oh, the metric system sucks, he says. I love the metric system. I mean, everything is divisible by 10. It's so easy. Our system blows, right? Because the amount, because an inch has no correlation to a mile. Like, it's ridiculous. There's no, I would love to adopt. Well, let's swap systems. We'll send our crappy system north of the border. We can take your metric system down here. I would love that. But yeah, make sure you smash that like button. Thanks to God's Solger for being in, for Bray Dotson for coming in and choosing violence today, for Brooklyn Rob. Yes, I am the mush, Rob. Big Dan 305. Thank you so much. And I'm tired of scrolling up. Anybody else who popped in today, we appreciate your patronage. Make sure you're supporting our sponsors. You Break Wheel Fix, Underdog Fantasy, Quarter Deck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill, BetUS.com, our official sports book. We will talk to you guys again tomorrow. And, I want to make a note again. I think I mentioned this at the top of the episode. I'm going to make a note again. Starting next week, we're going to be moving our start time back. We'll still be live every day, same kind of shows. We're going to move our start time back to 3 p.m. So we're going to finish out this week, 12 noon, tomorrow and Friday. And then starting Monday, we're going to get at you, Reaction Monday. We'll see what the Miami Dolphins do this week against the Bucs, but we will come to you Monday at 3 p.m. That'll be our time slot starting next week, 3 p.m. right here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ciao.